I love that. Keep calm and carry on.
Oh, yes. I feel like we need that in these times.
I agree with you.
Well, thank you for speaking with me. I teach at Ivy Tech Community College in Bloomington, and I'm going to share this with my students.
Oh, cool. Great.
So we're mostly doing things online now, still due to the pandemic, and they get tired of seeing me all the time.
Right. Oh, good. What age are you dealing with?
It's community college, so anywhere from 18 to 80.
Oh, cool. Great.
So some of my students know Star Trek, others don't.
And what do you teach?
Astronomy and earth science mostly.
Ah.
So science fiction fits right in there.
And a lot going on in your field right now.
Yes. So we have quite a number of things that are happening almost every day with regards to getting the moon ready for another landing, getting Mars ready for another landing. I think we'll land everywhere but Venus.
I think you will appreciate this, being the nerds that we are, as it were. I wanted to make sure that I inculcated my 3-year-old grandson into, I would say, okay, let's go down and look at monster movies and, all these science fiction movies and stuff like that. And yesterday, they just left after 10 months. But yesterday I found on Amazon a movie which was all of the trailers for monster and science fiction movies starting in about, I don't know, 1950. And I tell you, right about 1958 is where I was 10 years old or so. I began to go, oh yeah, and I could go to the movies on my own and what have you. I saw most of them, and it was just great. So he got like an hour and a half of all of these, rocket ship. He went on a plane last night, and he kept on. We just talked to our son. I said, how was the flight? He kept on. Max kept on saying, when are we blasting off?
Sure. Yeah, I love those old shows, and it reminds me of like the old Twilight Zone episodes, where you have the very basic rocket and the very basic kinds of things, and the computer with 3 buttons and 2 flashing lights, and that runs everything, and all the aliens have tentacles. And
and the cockpit always looked like a studio apartment in New York, or something like that. You could just kind of walk around. There's a lot of space.
Yeah, everyone had gravity too.
Yeah, that's right.
So, well, what would you have to say to my students today? What words of wisdom or advice or anything else that you might like to say to them?
Well, on what subject though? I mean,
well, my students are mostly astronomy students, but they're mostly doing general education through me. So they could be studying pretty much anything. They're just studying in my class to get extra credits and get the general education things out of the way. So anything to any student would be valuable. And I know you've done like commencement addresses and other such things in the past.
Well, I think it's really important to know what it is that what goal you would like to achieve. And oftentimes kids will say, I don't know. And I feel that part of education should be to try to find something, to have that as a regular course of discussion. What interests you, and how is it that you can move towards that in a general direction? And as you begin to target in on it, you begin to understand the things that you need to do to get there. And oftentimes, when I was teaching, I would have kids actually write it out. I want to become an astronomer. I want to, climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I want to, visit my grandparents in Alaska. Well, those are all great, but with those come a series of steps that you can actually write out and figure out, and then you start doing it. And that's the difference between people who well don't get to where they want to go and people who do.
Sure, sure. Yeah, having a definite plan. It's okay to have dreams, but trying to figure out how to get there becomes an important part.
Yes, and it's very oftentimes kids, I want to say, have this notion that if they make a choice, that will be the choice they will have to be saddled with forever. And it doesn't work that way. You know, I'm a sailor. So just from the physics of sailing and what have you, you cannot turn a boat unless it's moving. You have to get your boat moving. Once it's moving, you can turn. You can go, oh, you know what? I think that maybe I need to make a course adjustment or something like that. But if you do not have your sails up and you're just bobbing in the water, obviously a big metaphor, you cannot move. And therefore you cannot choose a direction. But once you've chosen a direction and you are moving, you can easily, for the most part, change direction or adjust that direction. So these choices are not forever, but they are. You have to start moving.
Certainly, certainly, and especially for our students today, they're going to have several careers during the course of their life. You just don't pick one and stick with it anymore.
Exactly, and there's a big difference between a career and a job.
Yes.
And so it would be better if they picked careers based on what it is that they're interested in. And believe it or not, being an actor is probably one of the most risky careers to get involved in. But most actors just went, this is what I want to do. And then you just begin moving in that direction, and hopefully things begin to work out, as they will for most people, no matter what it is.
Sure, sure. Well, I did stand-up comedy for 5 years, and I failed for 5 years out of 5 years. So I know what that's like.
Well, failure, you know, one of the things, too, is that I used to say to the kids, you know, when we sat down for dinner, okay, what did you fail at? What did not work today or this week? So that they began to understand failure is all part of success. If you fail at something, you go, well, I began to do that, but it didn't work. And you go, well, what did you learn from it? Well, I don't need to do this. I should go in that direction. That's now you've turned that into a success.
Sure, sure. Well, I appreciate your words for my students. I know they'll be excited to see you, and I'll share this up with my students online. And you actually gave me a couple of other videos, and I wanted to say thank you for that as well.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. And I love your sign. Keep calm and carry on.
That's what we need to do.
Absolutely.
And I just wanted to say I was watching the old Battlestar Galactica series recently, and yes. I heard this voice that sounded very familiar, and I had forgotten that you were on one of the episodes.
Yes, right. Well, I had forgotten it until you just mentioned it. All right.
But I do appreciate your taking the time for my students, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you. Same to you. It's really nice talking to you.
Sure.
And bravo for what you do. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And I know my students will say thank you as well.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.